Good afternoon. You're listening to Gambling with an Edge. Now here are your hosts, Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Today, our guest is premier sports handicapper Spanky. Spanky has a new podcast and a special event happening in early April that we'd like to talk about. So, Spanky, welcome to Gambling with an Edge.
Hey, thanks for having me back, fellas. I appreciate it.
So first, tell us about this podcast. What's that all about?
Yeah, so it's not really new. The podcast has been around now for a couple of years. I kind of took the model that you guys have built. I always have said this publicly on Twitter and everything, and I've told Richard this, that you guys are the go-to gambling podcast. I think that, you know, when it comes to gamblers of all different sorts and all different genres, you guys really definitely represent the most diversity and the sharpest of the sharp. So I really admire your podcast, and I kind of try to emulate that in a sense when it comes to sports betting. You know, I have a lot of connections in the sports betting business, so I kind of interview a lot of different people and give thoughts on, you know, just how it is to be a professional sports bettor. The people I interview, some of them are in the regulated legal markets, and some of them are from places far, far away that'll use aliases. And, you know, the one thing I always admired about you guys is, you know, the podcast is good when people start using, you know, aliases, or even the hosts use aliases. Then you know that, you know what, these guys know what they're talking about, and protection of identity is an important thing. So, yeah, I really trying to just do as good as a job, or even half as good as a job as you guys do. So I get a lot of good praise from it, and I get a lot of great guests and a lot of great feedback, and I enjoy it thoroughly.
Well, we're part of a mutual admiration society here. So, but the big thing that we have you on this week for is to talk about this upcoming Bet Bash, which is this gamblers get together that you are organizing. So tell us like where this idea came from, and when it is, and what's happening.
Perfect. Okay, so the website is betbash.co. .com for some reason was already taken, so it's betbash.co. So how did I get the idea? There used to be I used to go to the Sloan Sports Analytics Conference up in Boston, where a lot of guys, you know, a lot of analytics guys that work for NBA teams, NFL teams, and a lot of, you know, really, really smart people were there. And then there was a little sliver of actually professional gamblers. And the professional gamblers would always flock to each other. We'd always hang out at the bar. We'd always meet. But it was, you know, less than probably a percent, or even, you know, maybe I don't know, 0.1%. Who knows? It was only like 10, 15, 20 gamblers. So I really enjoyed that. And I made a lot of friends there. And with the whole COVID situation, I kind of missed that. You know, it was canceled. And, you know, it just, I said, you know what? I'd love to be able to do something to kind of fill that void in my life. So there's another gambling conference called SBC Americas. They run a conference, and that's more industry people when it comes to bookmakers and affiliates and software providers, and then, you know, all different things. But it was never about gamblers. And the aha moment I had was I was at one of these events, and one of the panels that they had was, what do sports bettors want? And on that panel, there wasn't a single sports bettor. So I just said, wait. So I'm over here sitting in the audience, and they're telling me what I want. And I got to listen to all these, you know, suits and you know, quote unquote professionals speculate on what sports bettors want. And I'm over here thinking, my God, you know what I mean? If only, not even me, but if somebody just like me will tell you what we want. And then, so then I said, you know what? I was waiting around for other people to kind of take the ball. And I said, you know, in life, sometimes you got to do it in order to create something. You got to just do it yourself. So I said, okay, let me do this. The whole, you know, the COVID restrictions last summer kind of got softer a little bit. So then I said, okay, let me throw the first Bet Bash, which took place in August in Jersey City, New Jersey, August of 2021. It was a one-night event. We had people coming from all over the country, California, Florida, everywhere to Jersey City, New Jersey, of all places. And it's kind of a special place for me because I was actually born and raised in Jersey City. And I live about an hour from there now. But it was a special kind of coming home thing for me. I had the mayor there. I had Senator Ray Lesniak show up. Senator Ray Lesniak, as you guys know, was instrumental in repealing PAPSA and kind of bringing regulated bookmaking all over the country. So he made an appearance, and we had 275 guests show up, which was pretty impressive turnout. And everybody was having a blast. It was an open bar, and it was just absolutely I got so much great feedback. And then I said, okay, this is great. So what next now? How do we keep the momentum alive? So I reached out to Matt Metcalf at the Circa Sportsbook in Las Vegas, and I said, listen, I got this party. It was a success. I want to have the next Bet Bash in Las Vegas, and I want to have it at the Circa. Matt Metcalf loved the idea, pitched it to the owner, Derek Stevens, and everybody there, Dave from all his right-hand man, David Rossborough, and everybody in the upper echelon of the Circa. They all loved the idea. They welcomed me with open arms. And that's where we're at. The party starts April 1st through the 4th in Las Vegas, 2022, and I hope to see everybody there.
Now that weekend, coincidentally, happens on Final Four weekend of March Madness. So Saturday is the first two games, and then Monday night is the finals. Now Circa is arguably the best sports bar in sports casino in town. There are others in the running, but Circa is up there. And I would have thought during a March Madness Final Four weekend, they would have been sold out and not needing any more people. So how did you talk them into that weekend?
Okay, great question. Believe it or not, Bob, it wasn't coincidental. It was actually by design that we chose that weekend. When people come to the sports books in Las Vegas for March Madness, it's always for the first round, the first two rounds, or even, the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight. But it's usually the first two rounds when there's 64 games going, 63 games, and there's just so many games going on, and everybody's just so excited. And that's where you get a lot of the people, because there's basketball games, from 9 a.m. Pacific up until 7 p.m. Pacific, and it's just all day basketball games. So it's kind of this is where the sports books really love it. However, for Final Four, it's not really that much. There's only 2 games on that Saturday, and then there's the 1 game on that championship Monday. So sports books, sure, they'll write a lot of business and everything, but to actually get people in the door, it's not really a big event for them. So they said, you know what, how can we make this a big event? And Derek Stevens and Matt Metcalf, we kind of brainstormed, and they said this would be a perfect time to have Bet Bash, because we have a major sporting event where we can have watch parties with, and also bring people in the door and kind of fill that void that was missing. So it was actually all by design that we chose the Final Four weekend. And also, my staff, we kind of slowed down during that time, so we're not really betting as much. Baseball is just getting underway. NBA is wrapping up, and and college basketball is just winding down. Obviously, there's only 3 games left, so it was a perfect time for us and my staff to be able to have a little mini vacation, a little break, and actually just go party for a weekend. So that's why we kind of chose this weekend for it.
When you say a break, you're not saying that you're not going to bet those last 3 games.
Well, believe it or not, Richard, we don't like betting the Super Bowl, the game in the Super Bowl and those 3 games. We don't really concentrate on those. Those lines are the most efficient lines in the world. So, we could the money isn't any greener than betting, Abilene Christian versus Bethune Cookman versus, these big games, Duke and Gonzaga. So we're not when the line is so efficient and it's hard to beat that efficient line. We're going to just take a pass. We probably won't be betting those games, most likely.
Will there be any seminars at this event? And If so, what kind of speakers do you have lined up?
Yes. So the event, if you don't mind, Bob, I could just describe it day by day, and we could just go take it day by day or topic by topic. But
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, great. So it all kicks off April 1st, Friday night, at Bar Canada, and that's kind of like an opening ceremony where we'll have registration, early registration. People will be able to come. People might be flying in that night. Bar Canada is located in the D Casino Hotel. So the D and the Circa on the Golden Gate are both owned by Derek Stevens. Or all three are owned by Derek Stevens. So Bar Canada is a beautiful bar. It's really nice. It has like a little Canadian feel to it. There's a lot of Canadian draft beers there. And it's a perfect meeting point for all of us. When we talked to David Rosborough, who's the chief operating officer at the Circa, he kind of stressed the fact that we kind of want to, and I wanted to touch, I wanted to make sure that we were able to experience all the amenities that all the properties are. So the best of every single one of all the properties. And Bar Canada was a perfect time to be able to come and meet for that opening, because it is such a beautiful bar. Believe it or not, it opened in mid-March of 2020, and right at the opening, that's when the COVID shutdown started. So they kind of never really had that super duper opening, and it was just sitting there for a while with all the casino shutdowns. So it's a beautiful, beautiful bar, and I think that people are going to love that opening event. The next day, then, the Saturday morning, we're going to run a speed networking event. So what's that? Speed networking is kind of like speed dating, but instead it's speed networking. Essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to have people fill out an online form. They could do it while they're there. It's going to take literally 30 seconds to fill out. It's 3 questions. Pretty much classifying what they are: a sports bettor, a sports handicapper, a general gambler, an investor. And they're going to ask, what sports do you like? NBA, NFL, college football, college basketball, soccer, hockey, boxing, fighting, whatever it is. And then also the last question is, what kind of people do you want to meet? So we paired up with this thing called speednetworking.com, this company, and when people fill out those questionnaires, their algorithm will then pair each person and give each person approximately between 15 and 20 meetings for a 2-hour period. So how does it work? You're gonna once everyone's registered, a meeting generator is going to be done, and you're going to be able to meet people. They're going to have 5-minute meetings with people, or 6-minute meetings. We haven't really decided yet, but it's either between 5 or 6 minutes each meeting, and it's going to be in the Detroit Ballroom up at the D. And then in that 6 minutes, you'll introduce, you'll give a spiel, somebody else will give a spiel, and then you'll exchange information, and then kind of see how you guys can help each other, how two people can create a synergy and create a mutually beneficial relationship. Now, listen, you have 16 meetings. There's going to definitely be a few bombs in there. There's going to be people that, oh man, I don't think I could do anything with this guy, or this guy probably rubs me the wrong way. That's okay, because listen, the meeting's going to end in 5 or 6 minutes, so it's not going to really be too painful. Whereas I've been to several dinner meetings, and I knew within the first 5 minutes that this isn't going to go anywhere, but I actually had to sit through the whole dinner. So that kind of, it sucks. In this way, though, you get to meet so many different people in such a short period of time. And I'm of the mindset is, if you make just one connection that can be beneficial somehow, some way, the whole entire conference, the whole convention would be worth it. So, what would happen is we'll have a guy at the 5-minute mark. He'll say, okay, next meeting number 2. So everybody will look at their schedule, either printed out or on their phone, and then they'll go to the next meeting on a different table in the same room, and then the whole process repeats over and over again. I kind of pushed for this idea. I think it's a great thing. The one thing I noticed why I did the speed networking thing is, at the first Bet Bash, I noticed in the gambling world, particularly, some of the best gamblers, a lot of them are introverts. A lot of them don't know how to kind of, very smart people, but a lot of them don't know how to get out of their shell and kind of initiate a conversation, maybe break the ice. So this kind of forces that, where, people, you go to this meeting, and again, it's not mandatory. It's definitely optional, but I urge everybody that's going to be at Bet Bash to participate in this. And then you'll be able to meet some really fascinating people that you wouldn't have known otherwise. When I was at that first Bet Bash, guys would be holding a beer and their back was against the wall, and then just stayed in the same spot the entire time. I was there. I would circle around. I was, going around the room, and then an hour later, the guy was in the same place talking to the same person. So it's like, you know what? Maybe this thing would kind of allow people to meet different people out there and maybe find the connection.
Yeah, the other thing that's good about that is at these big events, most people tend to just hang and talk to the people they already know. And
yes, good.
This would force them to meet new people, which I agree with you, is always a good thing because you never know where something's going to lead. It also, for Bob and I, sounds like a way to troll for guests for this show.
Absolutely. Absolutely, exactly.
Yeah, do you have a place on the thing of looking for guests for Gambling with an Edge?
Yeah, on the form.
I'll create it just for you guys. I could say podcast, a podcast host or a radio. I have actually sports media as one of the things. So you guys could do a media, some type of a media thing if people want to. So they'll be able to say, okay, it's the same question, question 1 and 3. You classify what you are. You can choose as many classifications as you want. And, sports gambler, sports media, whatever. And then on the third one, you rate between 1 and 5 stars the people you want to meet. So I definitely want to meet sports media people, or I don't want to meet them. I definitely want to meet somebody that loves and that's into the NFL, but I want to stay far away from the hockey guys. So you could kind of, the algorithm.
Nobody likes those hockey guys.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just speaking. I'm speaking for myself. But yes, those hockey guys are in a world of their own. But yeah, so and the algorithm that the guy wrote, the company speednetworking.com, they kind of are able to pair everybody up once everybody fills out this questionnaire. And listen, I don't think everything's going to be perfect. I'm sure that there's going to be some meetings that people are going to have. They're going to be like, oh, this stinks. But like I said, if you get one good meeting, one good connection, it's worth it. And the reason why we had this as the first event for Saturday, because Bet Bash goes from up until Monday night, is that you can follow up on these connections throughout the rest of the weekend. So it's not like, so that's why we did this first. So then, man, I really enjoyed, talking to that 5th guy I met. I have his name here, Bob. I want to maybe learn about Bob and his video poker or whatever. So it's something that I think will benefit everyone.
And if you happen to be paired up with your arch enemy and there's just no way that you can stand being with them for 5 minutes, it's possible to blow it off.
These are great questions. If it's your arch enemy and if you guys, and if it's a mutual feeling that you're both arch enemies.
Well, it doesn't have to be mutual. It could be one guy loves the hell out of the other, and the other guy hates his guts.
Fair enough. Well, listen, look, I know both of you guys, and we've all sat through terrible dinners or meetings or whatever. It's a 5-minute thing. If you really want to say, listen, I'm sorry, I can't take this meeting, I got to go to the restroom, by all means. But I can, if I had to, I could sit through anything for 5 minutes. At least I'm hearing somebody talk. So hopefully, people will go with a little bit more of an open mind, Bob. Not that you don't have an open mind, but I'm just saying. I don't know. I never thought of that question. So hopefully, nobody sees their enemies there. We're trying to all be friends.
All right. So that's Saturday morning. So Saturday afternoon are going to be
the
semifinals of the Final Four.
Exactly. So Saturday, like 5 p.m. early evening. So Saturday then we're the Final Four. We're gonna have stadium swim. I'm sure you guys have seen pictures, or you might have went to see it live. But the Circa has this swimming pool with all the 8 swimming pools or 6 swimming pools with these big TVs and everybody there. So we're gonna have the whole VIP section of that stadium swim, and we're going to be able to watch the Final Four. I think the last Final Four game. It's going to be open bar. There's going to be food being passed all around, cocktail servers, everything, unlimited food, unlimited drinks, and then again, just mingling and talking to people and watching the final. The basketball game will be there, and I'm sure people are going to have bets on the game, and people will talk, and some people will not even care about the game and just again rekindle those old connections and work on the new ones that they've established. So that's the first of the 3 open bars on that Saturday night. We then Sunday morning is kind of like the keystone, where we're going to have the expert panels. So that's the event where you kind of hear different experts in the world of sports betting, and we already have the panel topics. We really haven't released the panelists yet, but I'm happy to describe the different panels that we're going to have for listeners. Okay, so the first panel is called Ethics in Sports Betting. And I'm just going to read it off of what we wrote. By the way, Matt Metcalf at the Circa has helped me design these panels, and him and I have went back and forth. And Matt Metcalf, I can't give him enough credit. He's been very instrumental in helping me out with this, and without him, this couldn't have been done. So it's not just he's not just a great bookmaker at the Circa and runs such a great joint over there. He really is helping me out with BetBash, and he's really shown, not just told me that he wants it so much to succeed, he's really shown that he wants to succeed. So I want to give credit to Matt Metcalf for helping with this. Ethics in sports betting. This panel discusses the Bookie-Bettor relationship and how it has changed over time. It touches on the expected yet unspoken etiquette from both sides of the counter. Topics include, but are not limited to, pass posting, betting both sides of the same game, betting the game in the money line or the game in the first half on the same ticket, steam chasing, injury information, bet delays, limits, and bad lines. So we're going to talk about what's right and wrong, how the Bookie-Bettor relationship has changed over time. I think this is such a great panel, and I think it's with that whole Draymond Green thing that just recently happened, where I don't know if you guys heard about that or at all, but there was a lot of sports bettors out there that found out that one of these NBA players, he was just going to work the opening. He's just going to play the opening tip-off of an NBA game. And he literally only played for 7 seconds. He was there for the opening tip-off. He intentionally fouled a person, and then he just sat on the bench because he had a bad ankle. So he played 7 seconds. However, so many sharp sports bettors bet a lot of the props under there. So they bet Draymond Green under assists, under points, and they parlayed them all together. And they did all these different things. And the terms and conditions of these proposition wagers is the player has to play. Well, technically he did play. He was in the game for 7 seconds. And it was announced by the PR department of the team that, oh, yeah, so he's only going to be playing the opening tip-off. So it kind of got leaked maybe 10 minutes to tip-off. So and the savvy and the sharpest sports bettors were able to capitalize on that. And from what I understand, I think a lot of these regulated sports books lost millions of dollars on that. So, is that right? Is that fair? Is that fair game? There's going to be difference in opinions on that. And I think something like that will be discussed at this panel.
Okay.
Okay.
That's your first one.
That's the first panel, yeah.
Wait, before we go over all, how many total are there, and are they sequential? So there are no 2 panels going on at the same time?
Absolutely, yeah. No panels are running concurrently. Everything is going to be sequential, and we're going to have 2 panels. We're going to have a lunch break, catered lunch break, and then we're going to have another 2 panels. So and they're going to start. I think the starting time is on Sunday morning. I'm figuring, I think, around 10 a.m. The next panel we're going to have is called the Art of. Hold on, I'm just making sure that, because we had 5 panels, and okay, yes. So the other one is going to be the Art of Sports Betting. Here's the description. This panel dives into the art of sustainability in betting actual dollars and making a living. Once you get to a certain level of sports betting, winning becomes inevitable. The most important factor then becomes longevity, maintaining accounts/relationships without getting severely limited or thrown out. This panel will dive into what to do and what not to do to keep the earn alive. And that's going to be a very, very, that's one of the panels in which, we're going to kind of, I don't even want to discuss it, because You know what I mean? The stuff that people are going to be sharing, we're going to get people there. I might be a panelist on this, although I don't want to be, but I'm kind of a fill-in, because I'm running the whole event, so it's hard for me. But, the stuff people are going to share on this panel are stuff that we really, don't really want to getting out there and letting it become public knowledge, because this is, as you guys both know, once you've mastered video poker, or Richard, once you've mastered the art of card counting, or any of the AP methods you guys use, the biggest thing in all of this is finding the right game and lasting the longest, right? So this is everything, and this is the coup de grace of sports betting. So we really want to we're going to share some ideas. I'm sure we're not going to give the experts that are going to be up there are not going to give everything away, but there'll definitely be some secrets that are shared, and I'm sure that anybody coming there that's kind of take it to the next level, that wants to, turn their game up to maybe from semi-pro to pro, or to be able to learn how to last longer in sports books, this panel will definitely be for them. Go ahead.
So you bring up a good point, right? And I gather that Circa is not one of those sports books that actually throws people out, but do people, certainly people who are not just sports bettors, but are other kinds of APs, are going to be worried about sort of being identified. And like Circa is one of the places where you must show ID at the door just to walk into the joint, even if you're just going to a restaurant. Is that a concern for people that, wait a minute, now these sportsbook guys are going to know what I look like, and do I have to worry about, getting, backed off from betting sports?
Yeah, so Circa will never back you off for betting sports. That just doesn't and this is the reason why the fit was so good, because I'm obviously of the mindset of, a sportsbook should never back anybody off. You should have just like any table game, any slot machine, you see what the minimum and maximum bet is. And of course you can ask for more, but there should always be a table max that the table should honor, that the sportsbook should honor. And Circa has that. They have limit sheets, whereas a few, if any, other sports books in Nevada have something like that. So Circa is a bookmaker. It's they're the art of bookmaking there. They've mastered it, and they won't back anybody off. Now, with respect to other APs, I know the reason why Circa does take IDs there is because it's a 21 and over. Not just in the casino, the entire resort is 21 over, so they don't allow kids in the building at all.
But they ID you if you're 60 years old. It's not a question of that.
Agreed. So having your ID in the system, that you walked in there, I don't. I don't. The concern is I don't know if this, from what I've told, the Circa properties, and they're not really fond of APs, which most properties aren't. Nobody's putting out a red carpet for APs. But I don't know if they're sharing information with other people. Like, is that maybe the concern? Like, could you lose a chance to be able, would this kind of give a guy out for just by showing their ID? Like, you tell me, Richard, you're the expert at this. Will people be scared that if they show their ID at Circa, that it will affect their entire AP career all around the country? Or
I don't think sports bettors so much. But like table games APs. I know people who just will not enter Circa because they don't want to show their ID. Not sports bettors, but table games players. So.
100%, and because they just want to do that to show, because, but will that, like, just say they came there for a party, or they came there to eat at the restaurant, they're not even willing to take that risk because it could affect either resorts outside of the circuit. Do you think that's a possibility?
Some people are more paranoid than others, but yeah, that's that is the fear on their part. In the old days, there would have been a Griffin agent there, looking at all the faces, and I don't know, do you run that risk? Somebody who runs, William Hill, showing up to figure out who's sharp and who to bar as quickly as they can.
So here's the cool part about this. So the day events, the panels, all take place at the D. It's only the parties that take place at the Circa, which are the night events. because the Circa doesn't have any convention space at the time. So if people want to come just for the panels, it's at the D, and you know what I mean, they don't ID you there. But if you want to come to the parties and the open bars and stuff, yeah, you know, I don't think there's any way going around that. That's their policy, so that's what it is. Although when I was in Vegas last month, on multiple times, I remember walking in there and the guy says, "Oh yeah, our ID scanner is down," so he just let me walk right in, like he didn't care. So there are moments of vulnerability, but yeah, I don't think anybody could rely on that or count on that.
Well, the last time I went to the D, they're IDing there too. Is that changed?
I don't. Yeah, I think I didn't see that at all. Where were they IDing you when you entered from? I don't recall being ID'd at the D at all. So I've never encountered that. Where were you ID'd? Were you going in through the main lobby, the hotel lobby, or the Fremont Street entrance, or do you remember?
It was I don't know, probably the main lobby. But this is more than a year ago, but less than. It was after the pandemic started,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't remember exactly when.
Yeah.
All right, so we beat this horse. You got a couple other seminars.
Yeah, these are panels. So the next panel is going to be the I already talked about the art of sports betting. Another panel is going to be the art of bookmaking. So a lot of the country's bookmakers are going to be there all around. You know, we're going to have representation from a lot of different regulated sports books. Bookmaking has been around since the beginning of time. The panel focuses on the evolution of bookmaking and what skills are required to maintain a profitable bookmaking operation. Topics include, but are not limited to, in-house handicapping, player profiling, player limiting / banning, line movement, charting, market consensus, marketing, and player retention. So a lot of bookmakers are going to different talk, and I think that'll be an interesting conversation. Again, some bookmakers take different avenues and different methods on how they treat players and how they make a profit, you know. So, and I think it'll be a great debate to hear the different perspectives. There's no right or wrong. However, I think it's nice to be able to share ideas and for the bookmakers for the bettors, us and the audience, to see how these bookmakers are able to share ideas and what's important to them. And that's the third panel. The fourth and final panel is going to be a really fun panel. It's going to be called Stardust Memories. So this panel is, let me just read the description here. This panel will go back in time and talk to the pioneers that changed the Las Vegas bookmaking scene forever. The line around the country originated at the Stardust. So we're going to be talking to all the major Stardust. I really don't want to, because it's not 100% confirmed on who's going to be able to be there, but I think you could use your imagination on who will be there. These are the major players of the game and the Stardust, and the guys that ran the Stardust and the guys that supplied the Stardust and everything. So the Stardust was such a big thing, and you know, it was around before my time, so you guys will obviously be able to test to it more than I can, but the Stardust was a game changer. So I think it would be nice to be able to kind of relive those memories with these panelists.
All right, good. So that's the seminar section. We're going to take a commercial break, and there's more to the weekend than we've discussed yet, and we'll be back talking with Spanky. The South Point has more than 10,000 games returning at least 99%. This is more such games than anyone else has. We're nearing the end of the $500,000 spin to win promotion. It goes through Monday, January 31st. It's a Monday through Thursday promotion where you earn 2,000 video poker points a day or 500 slots, and you spin a virtual wheel, limit 4 per day, average spin $12. Beginning 3 a.m., Tuesday, February 1st, begins the $500,000 plus Crazy Cupid's Money Madness, where they have 2 casino-wide promotions running at all times. The larger promotion, which starts at $10,000 and must be hit by $25,000, gives all active players $25 in free play when the promotion is hit. The smaller promotion, which starts at $1,000 and must be hit before $2,500, is scheduled to be hit approximately 3 times a day. Once hit, these progressives will immediately start over again and will continue to do so until they are hit after 3 a.m. on March 1st. To be eligible for either or both promotions, players must have played at least $1 in coin in the previous minute.
Hey, this is Colin from Blackjack Apprenticeship, and if you're serious about card counting, I'm sure Bob and Richard would agree that there are 3 things every advantage player needs to succeed. You need to gain the edge over the house, you need to manage your bankroll, and you need to get the hours in at the casinos. After a decade of playing professionally and running teams, I wanted to create the exact training, tools, and community I wished I had had for myself and my blackjack teams, so we created the Blackjack Apprenticeship membership. Our membership will help you perfect your game, manage your bankroll, and you'll join a supportive community of like-minded card counters and APs. Find out more at blackjackapprenticeship.com.
Videopoker.com is the best place to play lots of games. If you sign up for the gold membership, $8.95 a month or $79.95 a year, this allows you to get correction for most of the games. The game of the week is Lucky 8. This is a rare case where video poker game has the same name as a table game side bet. This is a 10 coin per line bet where you get bonuses for 3 or more 8s, including full houses with 3 8s. If you get dealt trips or higher about every 35 hands, you get to spin a wheel, which includes amounts ranging from 188 to, once in a blue moon, 18,888. In Deuce's Wild Variations, you spin the wheel on dealt flushes or higher, which occur every 42 hands on average. You'll need to figure out the strategy for yourself, but it appears to be possible with simple algebra. With 88445, for example, it must be correct just to hold the 8s rather than 2 pair, because the bonus is on 3 or more 8s. On Deuce's Wild Variations, where you would normally hold a suited Jack 10-9 over a pair of 8s, or maybe holding Jack 10-9-8, in this game, surely holding the 8s is better. All right, we're back talking with Spanky about the Bet Bash. So we have gone through daytime Sunday. What happens Sunday evening?
Okay, so Sunday evening is going to be that's where we're going to go on to the Legacy Club at the top of the Circa, the 60th floor of the Circa. The Legacy Club, I don't know if you guys have ever been up there, but it's when I was in Vegas last month, I was there every night. It's unbelievable. You get a beautiful panoramic view of all of the valley and of the Las Vegas Strip, and it's such a beautiful. The bartenders are great up there. Really classy place. Outdoor fire pits, and it's just so nice. We're gonna have an open bar, and we're gonna have hors d'oeuvres being passed around, and that's gonna be such a great place to take pictures, and again to do a lot of networking and have a good time and have a few cocktails with each other. So that's one of the biggest events I'm looking forward to. I really enjoy them at the Legacy Club. Finally, Monday morning, we're gonna end. That's gonna be the last day of Bet Bash. We have what we call a Bookie Bettor breakfast. I probably should change it to a Bookie Bettor brunch because I think nobody's going to be up for an early breakfast. We're probably going to be starting this at 11 a.m. Because I think the night before people are going to be out all night. So this is going to be called the Bookie Bettor brunch. What is that? So there's going to be round tables of 11. There's going to be 10 paid guests and then 1 special guest. That special guest will be a legendary bookmaker or a professional sports bettor or a current bookmaker, where guests are going to be able to have breakfast. It's going to be a buffet breakfast over at the D, and then people are going to be able to have an intimate conversation with these special people. Several people that are going to be there are Chris Andrews, Jimmy Vaccaro, Vinny Maiulo, Richie Baccelleri. These guys are, have been around for so long, and I'm just mentioning a couple names. Billy Baxter said he'll be able to be there. And there's a couple of people, I can't even mention their names. They don't even want their names advertised, but they said they'll be able to make it. So there's going to be a lot of special surprises and special guests, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity. Matt Metcalf at the Circa will be there also. There's a great opportunity to meet a lot of bookmakers and a lot of other pro bettors and have that, not really a one-on-one, but a 10-on-1, I guess. But to be able to sit and ask questions. And again, it's another networking opportunity for everybody there, not just for that special guest at the table, but also for the other guests there. And that's what we call the Bookie Bettor breakfast. Finally, on Monday night, we're going to have the final game watch party. This will be the championship game watch party. We're going to be taking over the underhang of the Circa sportsbooks. All those VIP tables and everything, that's going to be all reserved for Bet Bash attendees. Open bar, buckets of beer everywhere, cocktail waitress serving whatever anybody wants. Food, we're going to have all catered from Victory Burger and the barbecue joint. I forgot the name of the barbecue joint is there, but that's going to be whatever you want, ribs, burgers, chicken, for everything. And we're going to watch the championship game on that beautiful big screen in the Circa Sportsbook. That's iconic to the property. So, and that's how we're going to end out Bet Bash. And that's everything when included. The tickets are $500. Like I said, it's three open bars, expert panels, catered lunches, catered breakfast, food everywhere. So it's really a great event, speed networking event. There's just so many things, and I think it's going to be I hope it's going to be a success. It's either it's not easy kind of coordinating this. I'm not an event planner. I've never done something like that. I did that one night in Jersey City, so this is kind of new for me. I got a staff that's helping me out. Matt Metcalf is helping me out with the panels, and the people at the Circa have been very, very instrumental in helping me. So it's going to be good, and hopefully it's a success, and I hope everybody enjoys themselves.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun.
Now, $500 doesn't sound like it would cover hotel rooms.
No, so we have a deal with the Circa.
You have a
Yes, that's a great question, Bob. So we have the Circa gave us a discount code that people can use. If you go to the website, betbash.co, you can get 30% off rooms at the Circa or the D. And these rooms, I said, listen, these has to be the best price rooms out there. And I compared them to hotels.com and Expedia and all these other websites. It doesn't even come close. If you want to stay at the Circa or the D, these are the very, very, especially at the D, the rates are very reasonable. So people will be able to stay there and get a good room rate. There's one other thing I didn't get to mention. There's optional seminars that we also have. So it was different than the panels. Optional seminars. So there's 3-day events, 3-night events. There are going to be midday events if people want to kind of learn more. These are optional seminars at an additional cost that'll be focused on blackjack. One of them is going to be on blackjack. One of them is going to be on sports handicapping and modeling when you get kind of into the math behind it. One of them is going to be on horse racing, and the last one is going to be on poker. And we don't have to really get into the details of those, but all those details can be found on the website, betbash.co. I know Colin Jones, who was a podcast guest here, is going to be running the blackjack seminar from Blackjack Apprenticeship.
I would call him a podcast sponsor, actually.
Oh, okay. He is a podcast sponsor, yes. And he's great, and he was very I really appreciate him putting the time in to be able to do this, and he's going to be able to kind of give people a taste of what it's like to be able to be a pro blackjack player in the 21st century. And I think that's something that you guys brought up on your podcast, and to kind of bridge the gap between all those classic books and today's blackjack environment. So I think Colin does a great job in doing that. And actually, I asked Richard, Richard, who would you recommend? And Richard right away said, when it comes to education and blackjack in today's world, Colin is definitely the go-to guy. So thank you, Richard, for that recommendation.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, with poker, we're going to have Phil Galfond, who's a 3-time World Series poker bracelet winner, and arguably one of the best poker players, top 5 in the world today. I've asked him. He has an education site, runitonce.com. So that's going to be, and you can read all about him there. So if you want to get your poker game up, you can go to that seminar. Harry Crane from analytics.bet. He's a professor of statistics at Rutgers University. He's the guy, and him and Philip Mabin, his partner, these guys are the ones that a lot of the sports syndicates around the world hire to be able to build their models. And these are the guys that bet millions of dollars. So these are the guys that work for the guys that bet millions of dollars, and they'll be able to share some of their techniques on modeling sports. And finally, Emily from Optics EQ, who is a horse tracking software. That's able to, a lot of the major horse players around the world use her software to be able to beat the horse racing game. It's a little bit of diversity. Again, these are all optional. People don't have to attend one of these or all four. They can attend all four. They can attend just one. They can attend none. Again, these are optional. It's not for everybody. If you just want to be into sports betting and that's it, and not worry about getting deeper into the woods, into the weeds, I should say, then that's fine. But if you want to kind of be engulfed and get as much education as possible, then these seminars are also for you. These seminars are going to be limited to 30 people capacity for each seminar. Again, they're going to be sequential. There's going to be spread out throughout the weekend in the middle of the day. So if people are interested, the only way to get tickets to that is you have to purchase the BetBash ticket, and then you would email tickets@betbash.co, and then we'll be able to lock up a seat for you at the seminar.
We wish you tremendous success at this. It sounds like it could potentially be the start of an annual event. We don't know that until for a while, but we wish you success and good luck.
I really appreciate it, Bob. Just to end, Derek Stevens told me there's going to be 300 and something people this event. He wants it to be 3,000 people for the next event. So they're
Jesus.
looking at, yeah, he's so behind this and his whole staff. They want this thing to blow up. Listen, let's face it, this is missing from us, and we would love, Richard, you called it the blackjack ball on steroids. It's kind of like, it's one of those things in which gamblers need a place to get educated and to learn from professionals, and it's just missing. It's not out there. So I think that this kind of fills a void, and we could still we could learn hard and play hard, and that's kind of what I want to do.
Very good. So we have some questions for you, Spanky, to fill up some of our time.
Absolutely, Bob.
Since the last time you were on our show, a number of states around the country have opened up sports books. How has that affected your life as a professional sports bettor?
So me being in New Jersey, I'm in the mecca essentially of regulated bookmaking in the United States. Essentially every sports book except for Circa, coincidentally, has some type of presence in New Jersey. So the sports books being in other states hasn't really affected me, but me being in New Jersey, it definitely has. I'm kicked out of most sports books personally. So it's but there are a few that still allow me to bet. So is it a big portion of my betting? Absolutely not. But there is, it's okay. It's not negligible. I should say that. Where at one point it was. We're still able to bet here in Jersey. Superbook is in New Jersey. They let me bet WinBet, FanDuel, Hard Rock. A lot of these guys still they're welcoming me in and they're allowing me to bet. And sure, we were able to get a nice pop there. They know who I am. I'm very open. I realize in this industry now, if you go in through the front door and you kind of are open and you're not trying to bet props and you're not trying to go in and try to go undercover and sneak around. And you say, listen, let's agree on a fair limit, and then they let me in. FanDuel, I've been there since day one, and the guy John Sharon there, the director of trading there, he lets me bet, and I give him NFL work. I'm able to give him decent work, and of course, I'm going to win in the long run, and they kind of know that. But you know what? I'm still able to give them work when they need it, give them bets when they need it, and they're welcoming me, and I really appreciate them. I think every sports bettor that's listening to this that is upset at the industry and kind of like and mad and like, how could this happen? You got to understand, we need them a lot more than they need us. As professionals or as APs or anything. This is it's their world. We just live in it, so we need to find a way to get on their good side and just be respectful and just try to last. If you can, as long as you can continue to bet, you can continue to earn. So I think I always just use that mindset whenever I kind of want to move forward in my progression on maintaining relationships.
As this podcast goes to air, we're down to 3 games in the NFL season. First two games will have dozens of prop bets available. The Super Bowl itself will have hundreds of such bets. Do these bets hold any interest for you?
Yeah, so listen, I was never really big into the Super Bowl props. It was just more of a Vegas thing. But now, when with all the regulated bookmaking involved, these and guys are taking decent limits on these Super Bowl props. So yes, so for the not for the next set of games, the conference championships, but for the Super Bowl, myself and others, there's teams of guys that are involved that kind of go around the country, and we'll be doing the same, and we'll be sending guys in, and we'll be looking for a lot of these prop bets that are, in the regular season the prop limits are small, a couple of hundreds of dollars, but now with the Super Bowl, some of these prop limits, they're thousands, they're into the thousands, so it's kind of worth it now. And even on game day, I remember last year the Circa on game day, they were taking 5,000 and 10,000 for several Super Bowl props. So it definitely becomes worth it now because just because of the sheer limits and there's a lot of public money into that pool, so there's definitely value to be had. And we definitely, we don't bet the game at all. We'll never bet the game, the side and the total. But when it comes to the prop market, there's definitely vulnerabilities there for the sports books.
As a side note, in 2 weeks from this podcast, our guests are going to be Captain Jack Andrews and Rufus Peabody, who will be addressing prop bets for the Super Bowl and where to find value and how to use their unabated.com software to help you out there.
Beautiful, great question. Guys, both personal friends of mine. When it comes to prop betting, Rufus Peabody is one of the best out there.
Yes. And Captain Jack is not a total slouch at that either.
Oh no, Captain Jack is amazing. Not taking anything away from Captain Jack. He's one of the best of the best.
All right, so you got about 3 minutes on this one. In general, opening lines are frequently several points different from closing lines. What kind of handicapper do you need to be to take advantage of opening lines?
So, in the timeline of a line, the lifeline of a line, I should say, the openers, the bookmaker will open a line. So we'll just look at college basketball, for instance. They'll open the line the night before. So there's a fine line that you have to walk. If you bet that line early, as it comes down, when it just opens up, the limits are low, but you will be able to get the most closing line value. You'll be able to maximize your edge. However, if you wait long enough, you're going to have less of an edge, but you're able to get more down. So you're kind of walking that fine line, trying to maximize both the amount you get down and maximize your edge. The longer you wait, the lower the edge, but the more money you'll be able to bet. If you bet as soon as the line gets hung, you'll have a massive edge, but the amounts are so low. So it's very, very important to try to walk that line. We really don't mess with the overline markets. Matter of fact, it's in our best interest sometimes to bet the overnight lines the wrong way in order to maintain those lines, and hopefully they don't move so that other bookmakers can copy those opening lines the next morning, and then we'll be able to capitalize and get a lot more down and still maintain that line for the next morning. But yes, so it's a cat and mouse game, kind of like it's a balancing act, and it's never easy, and it gets harder every year.
Thank you, Spanky. This was a lot of fun. Again, we wish you well on your event starting April Fool's Day.
And just a question: are you guys going to be coming to Bet Bash?
Yeah, I want to come. Sounds like fun to me.
Bob, will you be there?
I'm strongly thinking about it.
All right.
Free food, Bob. Free food.
Yeah. Free food and drinks. Got any comps? You got
it. So I'm strongly thinking about it, leaning towards a yes. At the end of our show, we have a recommended section where the host and often the guest recommend something of interest to our listeners. So, Richard, do you have a recommended for us today?
I really don't. What I'm looking forward to, I'm going to recommend it, just assuming it's going to be good. And that is the new season of Ozark just came out on Netflix, which is a show that I really like, and I know a lot of our listeners have mentioned that they like this show. So I haven't started watching it yet, but that's what I'm looking forward to.
You haven't started watching the new season, or you haven't seen Ozark at all?
No, I've watched all the episodes prior. Yeah.
Okay. So before I get into my recommended, last week on the show we mentioned that Richard and I were going to be competing in a moth storytelling event, and I was going to kick his butt, and we said we would give a report as to what happened. The event, they called 10 people out of a hat, and Richard and I were both called. Richard got called second, nailed his story, perfectly nailed it. I got called fourth and did well, not as good as Richard. I knew that going in. So as the 10 go on, the scores tend to rise. There is an inflation in the scores as the evening goes on. May have to do that there's alcohol served at the event. Richard ended up in third. One he definitely deserved to beat. The final guy was a very proficient storyteller and had a nice hook at the end. And so the actual winner deserved to be in the running for the winner. Whether it was better than Richard or not, I don't know. The guy who actually won was more on theme than Richard was, perhaps. I of course, was rooting for Richard, but as they announced the scores as you go, by this time we already knew that he wasn't going to win, and certainly I wasn't. I ended up in 5th place out of 10, so I was a middling score. But overall, I was happy with my performance, and am strongly thinking about doing it again next month. For my recommended, I'm recommending the book Dead Even by Brad Meltzer. This is a legal thriller that came out about 20 years ago. It pits an assistant district attorney wife against a defense lawyer from a big New York firm husband, defending a real scumbag, and this scumbag has some very powerful yet murky ties that don't get cleared up until the end. It's a different take on legal thrillers, and although it might have gone on a bit too long, overall I found it very absorbing. Dead Even by Brad Meltzer. So Spanky, do you have any recommended for our audience?
Yeah, so actually yesterday, there's a thing called fathomevents.com. And what they do is they specialize in bringing the classics back to the big screen. So yesterday, I actually took my mom, who's just about to be 90 years old, and we went to see Casablanca on the big screen. And it's the 80th anniversary of Casablanca.
Yes.
And they have a lot of other movies that they show, like The Quiet Man is coming up, Singing in the Rain. So if you're into the old classic movies and you never got a chance, most likely, to see them on the big screen, and to kind of get, like, there's a little bit of an intro in the beginning and at the end where it kind of explains, the setting of the movie and what it took and, to make the movie and stuff. It's from Turner Classic Movies. It's beautiful to actually see it on the big screen. It was such a joy. I haven't seen the movie in so long, and my mom remembers seeing it when she was a little girl. So I think that I definitely recommend it. The website's called fathomevents.com. If you're into movies and the classics on the big screen, I can't recommend it enough.
Oh, that sounds great. Casablanca is one of my favorite films. It's
one of the best ever. It's one, and when you see it on the big screen, it's just such a joy. You know what I mean? It's so great, so great.
Yeah.
So on TCM they have Ben Mankiewicz usually he's one of those many hosts who introduce the movies and give interesting facts about it. Was he involved in the Casablanca one?
I'm not sure. Did he have glasses? Was he wears glasses with I don't.
He definitely has glasses and slick back hair.
I think that was him. Yes, I think he was the one that kind of did that. And this Fathom event, so like it's weird because you put your zip code in and they tell you which theaters are showing it. So it was only in a theater that was about 20 minutes from me, and there was only one showing on one day. So you kind of have to, there's not many viewings. It was 4:30 yesterday, so I was able to book it up, and but it's so cool because just seeing the movies on a big screen and seeing that little bit of an intro and how it was, like they always say, I know it's the old adage, they don't make them like they used to. Boy, does that ever hold true when it comes to these classic movies.
Yes, and I'm also sure for you, spending quality time with Mom, you don't know how many more quality times you still have to go. That had to be valuable too.
Absolutely. She loved it, and I knew she was gonna love it. Don't get me wrong, I also loved it too, but I knew she was gonna love it. It was just a mutually beneficial for all of us, and it was great. We were really looking forward to it. So and I saw the ad, and I really think that I couldn't recommend it enough. We're gonna be seeing The Quiet Man and Singing in the Rain. They have a whole schedule up, and it's like every month they have a movie. So it's a cool thing, you know what I mean? I love it.
Very good. Thank you, Spanky. Thank you, Richard. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good day.